I'm Tiffany Longworth. I work at Puppet, and when I was growing up, my parents had this really big food supply for the rapture, which they told me may or may not happen during my life. And I was like, that's a really big waste of food. To which they replied, oh, no, but what about when it snows and we get stuck in the house all winter? Or what if your dad were to lose his job? Or what if someone else needed our help? And that answer planted the seed that blossomed into the prepper that you see before you today. Now, when I think of an apocalypse, I think of an apocalypse matrix. On one side, you've got severity, like how intense and how long is this disaster going to affect us? If it's only going to be a few days, it's probably a little minor thing. If it is going to last weeks, maybe a month or two, medium. And if this is reality for the foreseeable future, that's a pretty major length. There's also locality. If it's only affecting me and mine, this is a personal apocalypse. If it's affecting my community, all my neighbors, but there are people outside who can come in and help us, that's a regional apocalypse, as opposed to a global apocalypse where we're all equally screwed. Now, so an example of a global major apocalypse would be the zombie apocalypse, whereas, say, a snowstorm would be a minor to medium regional apocalypse. The great thing about preparing for zombie apocalypse is you end up preparing for anything that is less local or less global and less severe. You just end up with, extra machetes than you need. Now, if we think about this for an IT apocalypse, we can actually change our variables and maybe think, is this affecting my laptop? Is this affecting everyone inside my company? Is it also affecting our customers? Or is everyone who uses OpenSSH equally screwed? Your CTO might ask you to prepare for Heartbleed 2.0. Make sure there's a logo for it. Roll out your patches, minimize exposure. The thing is, most things have the same base needs. So how do you become a prepper? You read a lot of dystopian sci-fi, and then you make a bag with a 3-day supply of supplies. How might we pivot this for an IT apocalypse? You would imagine terrible things happening, and then you would assemble your incident command system. What's the incident command system, I'll hear you thinking? So in the late 60s, firefighters in Arizona and California decided to study how effective they were at preventing property damage. And it turns out they were actually causing more damage than they were preventing. And this was because there was a lack of communication between organizations. And even within an organization, you might have like some cowboy firefighter go off and do something without telling the rest of the team, and they would drive damage towards populated areas. So they came up with the incident command system. The two biggest jobs there, the two most important, is having a single point of decision making and making sure there is someone dedicated to communicating to all impacted parties. So how can you make your metaphorical bug out bag? You will role play at work with your coworkers. You get to come up with a disaster as your dungeon master, and everybody pretends to troubleshoot this issue. They don't know what's causing it, you do, and you'll know you're doing it right when everyone's heart is doing this and their palms are sweaty. If they're not sweating, you're probably not making it stressful enough. The second step to being a prepper is preparing for a longer period of time. Can I survive for multiple weeks, several months? This is sometimes called bugging in. How we might do this for an IT apocalypse would be chaos monkeying. So you will continue to do your role-playing with the people who are going to be on your incidents. And so someone finds some information, they say, okay, well, we'll just restore from backups. Then you actually do it. And if your heart didn't just sink and it's all about building really, really good faith in your tool set. And if something isn't ready to be restored, then everyone has a emotional response. Yes, it is time to actually fix our backup and restore process. The final stage of being a prepper is really freaking nerdy. You're preparing, stuff hits the fan, end of the world as we know it, no going back, zombie apocalypse. Really, I'm probably never going to be able to use my medicinal herb garden because the pharmaceutical industry is probably going to be around through most things, but it's still really cool and you learn things and it's exciting and maybe I will get to use it. So the IT equivalent is, I don't know, kernel hacking or something. The end.